up to my face. It's like, leggings and sweatshirts.
We just redid our whole downstairs. I put in a bar down there.
Oh, you're cool. Yeah.
I got 2 dogs, so I just ordered the
Call the meeting to order. Everyone would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, opening exercises.
That was it.
That was it. Public to be heard.
There is none.
Got a house full though. And then I'm going to turn this over to Superintendent Jason Smith for.
Sure. So I have some special guests here tonight, but in order to kick things off, this is officially the beginning of School Board Recognition Week in New York State. So I'd like to read a proclamation from the state from Governor Kathy Hochul. I'm going to read that. Then we have some special presentations from all of our schools, and then we'll end with another presentations. This is from the State of New York Proclamation. Whereas each year School Board Recognition Week is observed by more than 700 school boards and school districts throughout New York State, and whereas our state's public education system is designed to meet the educational needs of all children and to empower them to become informed, productive students to society in an ever-changing world. And whereas as we continue to come back from the COVID-19 pandemic, school boards, including ours, have worked with school administrators and educators to help them navigate students' full return to the classroom within a learning environment that is safe, healthy, and ensures optimum opportunities for intellectual and personal growth. And whereas members of local school boards are dedicated to children learning and devote many hours of service to our students as they continually strive for improvement, excellence, and progress in education, recognizing that all children can be successful learners. And whereas local school board members are strong advocates for public education and are responsible for sharing these needs of the school district to the public and the public's expectation to the district by working closely with parents, families, educators, and other community members. And 2 more to go. Whereas the members of the New York State's local school boards respond to the needs of our students they serve and help ensure the solid foundation of our school system. In doing so, these leaders help strengthen our state's educational system and improve future prospects for our children. And whereas during October 17th to the 21st, 2022, special activities and programs will be held in communities across New York State in observation of New York School Boards Recognition Week, and it is therefore fitting to join in acknowledging the promise and contribution of members of local school boards. And now, therefore, I, Kathy Hochul, Governor of New York State, do hereby proclaim October 17th to the 21st as School Board Recognition Week in New York State. So let's start with a round of applause for school board members and thank them for their service. And then turn the program over to Mrs. Nataro and our students from Jackson School. They have some presentations.
My name is Lena. She say her name. Say it again.
My name's Lena. My name is Jordan. My name is Lena. We have a cheer for you.
Maybe you want to get
Thank you for all you do. Thank you for all you do. You're the best board we know. Thanks for helping us to grow. Your friends at Jackson and Robert Morris.
Wait, we have one more part.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
We have Mrs.
So, Mr.
Yeah, go
Sutton's
ahead.
up now.
Mr.
John,
Sutton,
go
yeah.
ahead.
All right, thank you very much. We have Mr. Knapp and Miss Nanny here, along with some of our fourth grade mentors that want to share their thanks with you. So I'll pass it over to Mr. Knapp and Miss Nanny and our mentors.
Good evening. On behalf of John County School, we have brought a few of our fourth grade mentors with us who would like to say a few words to our board. JK student members are students chosen for their hard work, kindness, compassion, and their willingness to help others. Our student mentors have responsibilities such as supervision inside and outside of school in the morning, peer tutoring, and being a role model for all students. A successful school mentoring program requires all school staff to buy in. Mr. Sutton, Ms. McCarthy, Ms. Nanny, and I carefully select student mentors. Teachers like Ms. McGuire, Mr. Madhu, and the other fourth grade colleagues allow fourth graders to miss instruction time. And teachers like Mrs. Knapp allow the mentors come in to their second grade classrooms and do activities. One recent activity of our mentors helped with assisting Mrs. Knapp's second graders in composing thank you letters to our board. One of our second graders, Margaret Benedict, with the help of one of our mentors, is going to start us off with our thank yous. As Margaret will tell you, Mrs. Knapp has extremely high expectations for her second graders, right, Margaret? So I know Margaret will be awesome. Go ahead.
Dear BCSD board members, thank you for working for our school. I love the cake. I love our specials and foundations so much. I love you very much. It's from Mrs. Knapp.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now our mentors are going to give their little thank you, but first I wanted to introduce our mentors. So we have Grace McGinnis, we have Braden DeFries, Mason Dennis, and Virginia DeMary. And they're here for our fourth grade mentors. We have 16 total. And so first, Grace is going to explain a little gift that you guys will be getting and what will be coming in each of the bags.
In this gift bag, you will receive a pop socket, a pen, and a cup. Your cup reads, "It takes a team to help children dream. You need dedication, cooperation, reliability, enthusiasm, flexibility, and integrity. Thank you for being a part of our team." Dear Mrs. Sunday, thank you for what you do. Also, thank you for supporting us and the teachers and putting us first.
Dear Mr. Regal, thank you for supporting us. Thank you for putting us first, and thank you for what you do. We appreciate you.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you for my orchestra and band lessons. Thank you, Ms. Anderson. You're so supporting for us. Thank you, Mrs. Bowman. Thank you for letting us have band and orchestra. Thank you for the high school football team and cheerleading. Thanks for supporting us and teachers and putting us first. Love you. Dear Mr. Roll, thank you for supporting us. Thanks for doing what you do. Thank you for supporting our sports team. Thank you for putting us first.
Dear Mr. Marcus, thank you for supporting our sports teams. Thank you for putting us first and doing what you do.
Dear Miss Benedict, thank you for the high school football cheerleading. Thanks for supporting us and teachers. Also, thank you for putting us first.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all we have.
Thank
Thank you.
Thanks, QB1.
Good evening, everybody. I'm one of the APs at the middle school, Lindsay Leone.
I'm John Martin Cannon, 5th and 6th grade assistant principal at the middle school.
So we have two awesome 8th grade students here to say a little something. Nate, you want to come on up? And
Yes, ma'am.
Lily. We got Nate Kinsey and Lily Gray here. What message do you have?
I would like to congratulate the board on letting sports resume again after the pandemic. It was atrocious what it had done to the United States, and I'm glad that sports were able to resume and that I personally was able to start doing them after the pandemic.
Awesome.
I just want to say thank you for all the opportunities and the coaching staff we have for the sports, because it's an amazing system we have, and it's really fun to play. So,
And all the opportunities.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Kessler has some students here.
You brought Peyton to us here.
Good evening. We have Peyton Bowler representing our high school students this evening. He's going to read a card to you from our students.
To our wonderful Board of Education,
We want to thank you for a moment for volunteering your time and efforts to support our school community. We're truly grateful for the many opportunities and resources we have here at Batavia, from the classrooms, to the sports, to the clubs, to the open house nights, to the dances, the senior celebrations, the concerts, like drama club. And thank you for always being willing to listen to our thoughts and ideas. Thank you so much from the students of BHS.
So now we have some certificates to give to the board, so I'll call my three girlies up again. Come on.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, do that.
Nice. Good job.
Good job.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Brayden. Good job, buddy.
Thanks.
Looking sharp tonight.
And this would conclude, I would like to thank our students and our principals for organizing this for the school board. Let's give the board one more round of applause. And thank them. At this point, of course, you are free to stay, you are free to leave. We will not be offended if you leave, but we'll take a 5-minute break for you to kind of gather yourselves. If you want to stay, please stay. If not, you feel free to leave. So, thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you, parents.
They're only little ones.
John, are you doing good news or are you going to skip it? You can skip it if you want. You can say, you can skip it or you can paraphrase what you want to do, so it's up to you.
You're excited.
You can just maybe do some highlights.
Are we good to go?
Yeah, we're good to go, yeah.
All right. Next on the agenda is good news, and that's me. From Batavia High School, Kelly Garner. I'm so grateful for Elena Veltz and Lindsay Daly for taking on the task of running student government this year. They successfully planned and executed our first full homecoming and pep assembly in 3 years. It was so great to see our whole school together and celebrating. The students also deserve recognition, especially those who took part in spirit days, evening events, and spent countless hours painting our 4 new beautiful murals around the school. Thank you to Elena and Lindsay for the extensive time and effort they put in to making it a special week full of traditions for our students and staff. Batavia Middle School, Principal Corzelius, thank you to all faculty and staff for your efforts to provide a wonderful open house to our middle school families. Our families felt very connected and were so appreciative of the opportunity to meet you all and the experience of seeing where their children learn and are supported every day. John Kennedy, Principal Sutton, Ms. McCarthy has now started her 2nd year at JK and has done an outstanding job with our staff, students, and families. She has embraced the JK way by setting high expectations for our staff, students, and herself. Ms. McCarthy continues to make a positive impact on our school culture with her energy and vision for how we can continue to get a little better every day. Thank you, Ms. McCarthy, for helping JK get off to a great start. Judy Anderson, thank you to all the teachers and teacher aides who assisted us in the nurse's office on opening day. Heather McCarthy, Mary Jo and Tina in our front office always offer a friendly welcome, whether it be helping a staff member, parent, or child. They offer assistance and smiles. We appreciate all they do. From Jackson Primary and Robert Moore Satellite, Amanda Thomas. Marie Bigsby is not only a great support within the realm of reading, but she is also one stellar bulletin board designer. Her creations are so fun, eye-catching, and mesh well with current events within the building. Paula Newman. Derek Wood is a very helpful, kind, sensitive young man that has become a great role model and class leader. Thank you, Derek. And from the administration, Susan Prescher. I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone for the amazing job reopening Robert Morris School. The building had been mostly empty for some time, and today we are feeding students in a warm, inviting cafeteria full of life and excitement. Thank you to everyone in the district that made this become a reality. All right, district administrator reports.
There, you received those already?
Yep, we got those. Now, presentations. It will be from Dr. Thomas Ramming for the BCSD staff study. Mr. Ramming?
Thank you, John. Jason challenged me to do something better than what the students just did, and it's a challenge that I respectfully decline. So,
Give a cheer right now.
Come on, just a little cheer.
I'm not a great dancer, and with pom-poms in my hand, I'm sure I'm even worse. So what I'm going to share with you over the next 10 or 15 minutes is just an overview of a report that I prepared on behalf of your district, and I think your superintendent shared a copy with you. Just a word of caution about the report. The report offers a perspective from an efficiency lens, and there are many other lenses which you can use to examine staffing in a school district. What does the community want? What are the specific needs of our students? What does the most recent data about student achievement for social emotional wellness tell us about student needs? So those can impact, and there's other variables too, those can impact staffing beyond what I looked at for this report. One of the reasons the report is slightly limited is because of COVID. We don't have a lot of student data to look at for the last 2 or 3 years. Normally, I would weave in student data and say, yeah, these positions are either impacting achievement positively, or maybe there's a ways to go. But we really couldn't look at that because the data is not available. Going forward, I would encourage the district to use that. So this will be an overview of the staffing report, and by no means should the entire report be seen as a guidebook on exactly how you should figure out staffing forward. It's just a different perspective. A little bit about my background. I spent most of my career in administration in human resources, and I've done about 20 of these studies for districts across Western New York, from Rochester to Lackawanna, from Barker to Batavia, for example. So this is not my first rodeo. So I'm going to begin by describing the process, an overview of the process, then sharing the findings, and then discussing some of the salient considerations for your suggestions for your consideration. This is laid out somewhat like you would lay out a research paper. So again, I've already mentioned that I used an efficiency lens. I began by meeting with the superintendent, central office administrators, the principals. I met with them over the course of 2 days. And then I reviewed a lot of data. Master schedules, enrollment history, budget information, average class size, related research related to class size, for example, research related to scheduling, and more. So I'd like you to know this was a fairly comprehensive, matter of fact, a very comprehensive review of staffing that went in depth, looking at how your staffing is school by school, grade by grade, subject by subject, and in many cases, in most cases, teacher to teacher. The findings are meant to be large in scope. One of the most important findings of the report, there seems to be a lack of a comprehensive and strategic staffing plan. I would suggest that going forward, the district adopt a staffing plan that aligns with your strategic plan, your strategic vision, and the goals that help define that vision. The BTA contract is no different than other contracts across New York State. It contains language on the teacher workday which can restrict the administration's discretion in terms of how it assigns teachers. Some of the language in this contract is more restrictive than I, as a superintendent, would necessarily like to see. So I just suggested that as you go forward, continue to examine the contract language. In those clauses, those paragraphs, those sections that result in inefficiencies, that are not good for kids, look at addressing those through the collective bargaining process. It's not the end of the world, but there's some things in there that you'll probably want to continue to try to work on through the collective bargaining process. In the report, there's a table that outlines how revenue for the district has increased over the last 5 years. There's been a fairly significant increase in state and federal revenue over the last 5 years, especially federal revenue with ARPA funds. Along with that, the district was able to add the teaching positions. Even though enrollment was going down, the number of teaching positions has gone up. That may be something that you're not able to sustain in the future. It's not a bad thing now. We begin planning for the day when funding from the federal and state level begins to go down or at least level off. One of the other things that I noted, staffing seems to have been allocated on a building-by-building basis, and there is not necessarily a coordinated effort across the district to look at staffing through a district lens or to try to coordinate schedules across buildings to allow for sharing of staff. For example, it may be possible with different schedules or more cooperation between the buildings to share some special area teachers between the two elementary schools. And at the middle school and high school, there are a number of subjects where sharing of teachers might be possible if the schedules were more aligned. They're very different right now, and sharing teachers is very challenging. Most districts of your size, I suggest, share more teachers than I found here at the table. Each building here has one school psychologist regardless of student population. Typically, school psychologists, their assignments are determined by population, not by school. That would be something you should look at. Are there needs, for example, in the high school that are not being met because you have one school psychologist, the same number as Jackson Elementary? Your school counselor to student ratio is richer than what most districts have in New York State, well, at least in Western New York, and certainly richer than what the American School Counselors Association would suggest. That might be mitigated by the fact that you have very few social workers. Typically, districts have, well, I'm going to guess, maybe if they have 9 counselors, they might have 3 or 4 school social workers. Your ratio is different. You have far fewer social workers than I might suggest, or than I might have seen in other districts, and a lot more counselors. So that's something that you want to study going forward. Is that balance how we want it to be? Are school counselors doing the work of school social workers, and we're fine with the way it is? But I think it is noteworthy and something worth more examination. This third bullet is something I see all the time. Music teachers, particularly at the middle school and high school, and even at the elementary school, where they have performing groups and they offer lessons, They create their own schedules with very little administrative oversight. As a common practice, I would suggest it's not the best practice. There should be an administrator who has a handle on and offers more guidance, more direction with regard to scheduling of performance groups and music lessons. Not saying it's bad, just different. So what are the suggestions, the takeaways that I would leave with you tonight? Add a 5-year vision to your strategic plan, and that vision should be student-centered with specific, measurable goals. The goals would be based on data that is available or will become available through standardized testing, Regents testing, social emotional wellness surveys, and other sources of information. Create measurable goals from that data and embed those in your strategic plan. Identify a single central office administrator to develop and lead a strategic staffing process. The administrator would not act alone. The administrator would act in concert with the superintendent, other central office administrators, principals, and the Board of Education. Put a plan together that fairly, objectively, and equitably aligns staffing across the district. I've already mentioned this before. Continue to look at the collective bargaining agreement and where necessary propose changes through the collective bargaining process. Objectively assess what you're going to do with those jobs funded by ARPA when the ARPA money runs out. I believe that's scheduled to run out sometime in 2024, which is not too far away. Are those positions really providing something of value that you want to continue to fund? If so, is there money that you can reallocate from other positions perhaps to fund those positions that were created with ARPA dollars? When I looked at your class size targets, I thought they were a little bit outdated. And at least at the secondary level, I think they could benefit from more clarity. There are some teacher load, class size suggestions contained in the staffing report. Whether you follow those or something close to those, develop consistent and clear K through 12 class size and student teacher load guidelines that are used to assign and evaluate staffing annually. This is part of the centralized staffing process instead of allowing staffing to continue to move forward building by building. I've mentioned this, look at sharing teachers. Coordinate the middle school, or at least consider coordinating the middle school and high school schedules. That would allow for more sharing of teachers and greater efficiency. I don't think it would hurt programming either, or at least it hasn't in other districts where I've done these studies, where I've worked, in other districts that I'm aware of. I mentioned school psychologists, school counselors, and school social workers early in the presentation. Under the umbrella of a strategic social emotional wellness plan, what are the roles of your school counselors, your social workers, and your school psychologists, and how can they work together to meet the needs and address the goals that are contained in that wellness plan? So that's a 20,000-foot overview of the report that I prepared, and I went through it rather quickly. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Actually got a couple for you, Dr. Ramey. You mentioned that you've done about 20 of these other studies in other districts. Were these studies pre or after the COVID?
Pre-COVID.
They were all pre-COVID? Okay. With a lot of these findings, were any of these, with specifically these teaching positions, was any of that post-COVID taken into considerations with most student bodies across the nation being behind on learning because of whether it's remote learning or whatnot?
Yeah, John, I tried to address that because you created a lot of jobs with the ARPA funds. You created those jobs, at least in part, if not to most, not to a large extent, to address the fallout of COVID. So when I mentioned that you should evaluate the value of those positions going forward, the ARPA positions that were created with COVID dollars, and then decide whether or not you want to continue those and how you're going to fund those. Those discussions should be ongoing so you know what the plan is before the funds run out. So, yes, I tried to address it by saying these 6 or 8 positions are ARPA funded / COVID positions. Do they remain of value, and if so, how are you going to fund them? Other than those 6 or 8 positions, the other positions in the staffing report were largely pre-COVID.
Okay. Okay. When you compared for the school counselors, the ratio being rich, the American School Counselor Association, were those suggested again before or after COVID? The numbers you're comparing to
I
CSW?
looked them up just for this report. I don't know if the American School Counselors Association changed the number after COVID, but that's the most current number available from the American School Counselors Association.
Okay, so it could be that those, again, going back to students being behind, those student counselors could be a benefit to the district having.
Yes, and those positions were in place before COVID.
Okay. But again, it could be a benefit for the
I'm not
district.
saying, that's what I said. You have to, this is not a slash and burn report.
No, I'm not, I'm just trying to compare, unfortunately, as you mentioned right at the beginning of your presentation, that a lot of these are, the survey wasn't done with a lot of measurables, I guess, because you said you couldn't put in those measurables in there. So, again, incorporating some of those measurables in there, some of these, as we look at it as a board, could be justifiable to have, and again, finding the funding for it afterwards is.
Yeah. So for example, when I looked at reading positions, what has been the impact of reading positions on reading test scores and how students are serviced? We don't have that information. AIS positions, same thing. We don't have that information. Has the relatively rich staffing in school psychologists and school counselors benefited students socially and emotionally? We don't have data to assess that. I'm suggesting you create or develop the data and then use that to assess the value of the positions and making well-informed decisions going forward about retaining, adding, or reallocating positions.
And out of those other studies, when you've done one originally like here for Batavia, how often would you suggest or say we redo this survey to see where we're at?
Most districts do this about once every 5 years.
Okay.
And it's used as a long-term staffing plan. Very few districts go in and make sweeping changes overnight. But I'll give you a specific example. Let's say you found you were, I'm just going to throw this out, you overstaffed at the high school by 1 teacher in social studies. But you know 2 years from now you're going to have a retirement in social studies. Well, do you want to cut the position now? Or do you just want to let it disappear through attrition a year from now? Yeah. So it becomes a long-term plan, not an overnight come in and change things right away.
Okay.
Answer your question?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions?
I do, but it's from your more specific plan, not your overview.
Okay.
How would you suggest that we collect data on our high school graduates to determine if they're graduating college and career ready?
There are organizations, I haven't done that recently, but I know there are organizations and services out there available that will help you collect data on your high school graduates. And I would argue it's not important what they do immediately after high school. Do they sustain it? So do they graduate from high school? Are they gainfully employed 2 or 3 years from now? Are they in a career or a pathway to a career? So it shouldn't just be one and done. You want to create the skills and the abilities and the attitude in students and sustained growth over a period of time, not just the year after they graduate from high school.
Okay. The second question I have is also about the gifted and talented, and how do we evaluate those programs to see if the impact of what we do in those programs have one in our, with our students and their, you know, their abilities as they get older.
Yeah, that's a great question. And what are the goals of the gifted and talented program?
What are they?
What are they?
My assumption of gifted and talented is to embrace those students that have these special abilities, to be able to continue them throughout their educational career, to be continually challenged to get to a better place or a better college or a better career. But to evaluate that, I don't know how to do that.
That's one way of looking at it. What about students who are gifted in the performing arts? What about students who are gifted in athletics? What about students who are gifted in ways that I haven't mentioned tonight? How do we establish goals for those students and make sure that the opportunities we're offering for your students are equitable?
That's right.
So what are the goals? How do we define gifted and talented? And then under that, what are the goals? And then scaffold it across grades, across subject levels. So it's not just the gifted and talented teacher, but all teachers are working together on helping bring out the gifts or the talents that individual students bring to subjects, bring to sports, bring to music, bring to public speaking, whatever their talents might be.
Would that evaluation, even though it says gifted and talented, should we be evaluating whether pre-K is doing our students, is getting them to be successful students so that they graduate successfully?
If you have a scaffolded program, the answer is yes. And I would imagine you do. Now, there are other...
Because we keep bringing
younger and younger. Everybody would agree with that my point of view, that yes, we should be using pre-K to prepare our students to become successful, especially in the primary grades, which will then establish a platform for them to be successful in the intermediate grades, middle school grades, and high school grades. What is that platform that we're trying to establish for our pre-K kids? Certainly social skills. Certainly strong social emotional wellness. It gets a little more controversial when we start talking about literacy skills and math skills. Is that really something we want to focus on at the pre-K level? I know what my bias is, but that would be up to you as a board with input from your administration. What are the goals? Again, what are the goals of our pre-K program? What are the programs we're putting in place to help our students achieve those goals? And how are we assessing whether or not the programs we have in place are helping students achieve the goals we set up? I keep going back to this. What I noticed over and over again in the district, and it goes back to your strategic plan, without a vision of where you want your students to be in 5 years with measurable goals, it's hard for anybody to know what programs you should have in place, what staffing models or patterns you should have in place to support students as they're trying to achieve the goals you set out for them.
Thank you.
Make sense?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. And thank you for your time tonight, and thank you for the great questions. If you have any other questions, give me your superintendent, and I'd be happy to get back to you again. Okay. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Nice job. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, up next, reports. First up, Superintendent Jason Smith.
I just want to continue with my sentiments regarding school board appreciation. On behalf of our students and our staff and my colleagues here, thank you for your service to our students and to our school It is appreciated. It's a labor of love, and just want to say thanks again. I want to recognize we had held homecoming a couple weeks ago. That was very successful. We had our fall dance this past Saturday night. Also recognize Mr. Bromley and our Coaches Association for a very well done athletic Hall of Fame dinner a couple weeks ago. Later on tonight, you will be hopefully approving the corrective action plan per the comptroller's audit. So we have that on the agenda for your approval and conversation. With respect to the late arrival days, we held a late arrival day last Tuesday. We have more information going. The next one is not until February. We've updated some of those messaging to our families to give our families, especially JK and Robert Morris, more arrival windows as opposed to a hard deadline. So that will be updated in time for the next one in February. Best of luck to our sectionals, or to our teams starting sectionals this week and next week. Also want to recognize Mr. Brown and Mr. Kessler and Mrs. Haggett for the successful Friday Night Lights pep rally we held here last Friday at very early 6 a.m. hours here to have Channel 13. It was really exciting. Musicians of known applications are now out and available on our website. I want to recognize 3 students who were recognized by the College Board. Jack Pickard, Lauren Reimer, and Nate Canali were recognized by the College Board for the National and Rural Small Town Award. This grant represents underrepresented students with academic honors that can be included on college and scholarship applications. At the end of September, we held a nice event at the Fairgrounds, Glow with Your Hands. We had several students there who were exploring occupations in the trade field. And later on tonight, we'll be recognizing Red Ribbon Week with our partners at Jacasa. So that's my report. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Okay, next up, our student ex officios report, Miss Julia Petrie, and it's nice to see Julia here after having a, still, I think, very busy fall sports season, girls soccer and football.
I also wanted to touch on homecoming and fall ball, just like Superintendent Smith did. So I wanted to start by saying that homecoming was a great success for us. We had a lot of students who were engaging and thrilled to be there, especially since my grade, the seniors, class of 23, it was really the last grade to have like a formal high school pep rally. So it was really nice seeing all the grades embracing it and having fun with it, even though it's something that made them a little uncomfortable or was new to them. And then recently we had our first fall ball since COVID, and that was also a smashing success. Everybody was excited to be there. They're all happy, thrilled. And then as our school year is starting to settle in and we're starting to get back into a flow here at school, you can really see how excited our students are to be back in these post-COVID conditions, back into a more normal school year. And then I just wanted to highlight our student athletes, as Superintendent Mr. Smith did. Our girls soccer team is having a great season, nearly undefeated, only 2 losses, and we're heading into sectionals this Friday for our first round. Our girls tennis team won their consolation rounds in sectionals. And then both our girls and boys cross-country teams are performing very well. Our boys soccer team is also working very hard. And then, of course, the football team has been doing really well. And we're heading into sectionals starting next weekend.
Good report. Thank you.
The girls are at 6 o'clock home, right, for the first round sectionals? Nice.
Your football game is Saturday afternoon?
Saturday at 1 o'clock is our senior night. Day.
Senior recognition.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and now, agenda alterations, if any, we have none. So next up is consent items. Now, we are just doing the raising of hands for...
I will ask for a first and a second, and then all in favor, any opposed.
Okay. Consent items. Are we doing this, is this one by?
No,
You do all at once.
All together.
Okay, so we have
So moved.
First for Rico. Second for Roll. All in favor?
What do I, what, do you want to have any?
Is there any discussion?
No. Okay.
No?
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Old business. This one we're doing
One at a time, show of hands, yeah.
under old business A, resolution to amend the 2022-23 budget, increase revenues to the general fund by transfer of funds from the repair reserve fund by $86,425. The actual cost to replace the high school boilers. Debit for expenditure of $86,425 as capital expenditures to pay for the emergency replacement of the high school boilers. Adjust the total general fund appropriations from $54,802,593 to $54,889,018. Adjust the total general fund revenues from $51,067,387 to $51,153,812. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
B, resolution for architect services for the 2022-2023 capital outlay project with CPL. Approve resolution, revised contract, and amendment. Second? Second. Mr. Roll?
All in favor?
Aye.
Barbara?
Aye.
C, contract for architect services for Batavia High School emergency domestic boiler repair replacement with CPL.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. D, contract for construction manager services for Batavia High School emergency domestic boiler repair / replacement with campus construction management.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. E, contract for plumbing proposals for Batavia High School emergency domestic boiler repair / replacement with M.A. Ferrallo Plumbing and Heating Incorporated.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
New business. Red ribbon proclamation. BCSD will support a commitment to healthy, substance-free lifestyles by wearing and displaying red ribbons during October 23rd through the 31st, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
If I could just comment for 1 second, I want to just do some recognitions here. First of all, thank you to Shelley Dale Hall and Heidi Midas Judge and the BMS and BHS PTA groups for helping us recognize Red Ribbon Week. I have a thank you. Please accept this framed Red Ribbon Week pledge on behalf of Batavia Middle School and High School parents, BMS and BHS parent-teacher groups, and JACASA. As community members and parents of youth, we are working together to create a healthy and substance-free environment for everyone. Thank you for supporting us and our commitment.
And all in favor of the proclamation?
Aye. B, 2023-2024 budget guidelines.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
C, 2023-2024 budget calendar.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
D, accept Office of State Comptroller Audit Report 2022 M-74 Information Technology Equipment Inventory.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye. E, approve corrective action plan for Office of the State Comptroller Audit Report 2022 M-74 Information Technology Equipment Inventory.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
F, accept Freed Maxick CPA's PC Batavia City School District report to the Board of Education as received.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Accept and approve Freed Maxick CPA's PC Batavia City School District's audited basic financial statements ending June 30th, 2022 as received. Motion moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. H, accept and approve Freed Maxick CPA's PC Batavia City School District audited extra classroom activity financial statements ending June 30, 2022 as received.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're on to 13, other reports and discussion.
Yeah, so at a recent training that Mr. Marucci and I went to, board officer training, one of the recommendations for effective boards is to consider having a board governance handbook. This would be only for the school board members. So in talking with John, the idea was, I already have a couple sample ones. If there's any board members interested in working with me, we should have at least no more than 3 of you to assist. We have a couple samples. It could be probably like a 2 or 3 media type deal. We could bring them back to the board the second half of the year and for some conversation, possible adoption. Is there any interest in looking at that? I'm happy to get Allison.
I'm interested.
I would volunteer.
All right. I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. I'll get something together shortly. Who was the other? John, Allison, and Jen. Right? Okay. Thank you for that.
Okay. Can we get a motion to enter into executive session?
Read the reason.
And let me read the reason, please. Okay. A, matters relating to the medical, financial, credit, or employment history or a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation. B, discuss regarding proposed, pending, or current litigation.
No, just what you said is fine.
Okay.
Yeah, you're perfect. Yeah.
I want to be, so I'm sure that you're going
We're not coming back, no.
And we're not coming.
And we will not be coming back, so could I have a motion?
My first was roll, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.